You're tuning into Black and White Sports on YouTube. The no-holds-barred truth on sports. The main event starts.
All right, Black and White Sports supporters. Well, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what's happened. But after years of not watching basically anything that Stephen A. Smith has put out, in the last week, I think I've watched actually 2 videos. And I'm like, what's happening here? Why is Stephen A. Smith dropping more and more pretty rational content lately? I don't know. Many people think he's getting ready to run for office. But I got to tell you, he set the WNBA on fire. He lit them on fire and burned them to the ground. In one of his latest podcast videos, in only the way that old school Stephen A. can. And we're going to watch this. There's some stuff in here involving the Florida Attorney General I don't necessarily agree with, but most of this I do agree with. And Stephen A. has put some heat on the W and turned the volume up on 11. That's out of a 10. Let's check this out.
They both announced that they intend, these are men, one is 6 feet 10, 250 pounds last time we saw him in the NBA. He's 34 years of age. The other's about 6'8", 260 pounds. He's 35 years of age and a former 16th overall pick of the Houston Rockets in the 2012 NBA draft out of Iowa State. That's Royce White, and Enes Kanter Freedom was drafted number 3 overall by the Utah Jazz in the 2011 NBA draft. Their positions are they're of the mindset that they should be eligible for the WNBA draft, the 2027 WNBA draft. Their announcement was framed as challenges to the WNBA's rules governing transgender player eligibility. It's a controversy, obviously, and this comes as the WNBA is facing mounting pressure to explain exactly how its eligibility rules would apply to a transgender player.
Do we realize really and truly all they really have to do is like adopt the IOC rules or the FIBA rules involving this issue, and it would clear up this problem you've got coaches in the league that are advocating for biological men in the WNBA, and you got players like Abby Williams advocating for I'm not sure you've got to outlaw this in the W, but then you're going to have a ton of backlash from all those people. But they brought it on themselves by allowing so much this league to become politicized in the manner that it has anyway. That's on the league. That's on the W. Sidney Colson literally described this league as a black queer political league yesterday. Yikes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're living in crazy times. And it's about to get crazier. It's about to get crazier unless people are willing to stand up on principle and say, this is what it is, this is what it's going to be, this is the way it's going to stay, come hell or high water. And yes, it is being politicized, no question about it. The WNBA has been political football for a lot of people, particularly the conservative right. There's no doubt about that. We all know that. We all know that this is an act of trolling to some degree, make no mistake about it, regardless of what Royce White says. But that doesn't mean you don't respect his position. They're on a mission to point out the flagrant hypocrisy if the WNBA is willing to allow such a thing to transpire, unless they're going to be rigid and dogged in their belief that the WNBA is for women. And it's important that we understand what they're trying to say. Because as we sit here and we really, really investigate what the hell is going on, keep in mind where all of this is emanating from. According to Article 13, Section 1A of the WNBA Collective Bargaining Agreement, quote, only players who are women are eligible to play in the WNBA. Seems clear, wouldn't you say? Yes, until the debate comes about what qualifies as a woman. That is where the ridiculousness of our society has come to. That is what they're challenging. And even though there's going to be people that dog both of them, accuse them of trolling and being immature and making a mockery and a joke of all of this, and there could potentially be some freedom or some credence to that argument, the reality is there's leg room for them to take it because there's an absence of clarification. This is Enes Kanter freedom. Listen to what he said.
After careful consideration and reviewing the current eligibility guidelines, I am officially declaring myself a WNBA prospect. If simply declaring who you are is all that's required, then I meet every single requirement necessary to compete in the WNBA. My team and I have carefully examined the WNBA's eligibility criteria and governing framework surrounding self-identification and inclusion. Based on the current guidelines, I can and am officially declaring my eligibility for the upcoming WNBA draft in May 2027. I am definitely not here to mock, make fun of, or disrespect any community or personal choices. I am simply asking that the current rules be applied equally to everyone. The rules that represent the very values many WNBA players and coaches have publicly advocated for. My team and I are prepared to ensure these guidelines are applied equally, consistently, and without exception. And I look forward to the WNBA honoring its stated principles. See you at training camp.
By the way, for those of you who want to summarily dismiss Enes Kanter freedom and act like he has absolutely nothing of significance at all to say, I'd like you to keep in mind he was born in Switzerland, raised in Turkey, became a United States citizen in 2021 and legally changed his name to Enes Kanter freedom. He had become a prominent...
Dude, he's been through hell. Persecution. I mean, Enes Kanter freedom has been through hell in his life.
Political and human rights activist, particularly through criticisms of the Turkish government and China, where he was in the United States, incredibly fearful for his life for years. Just want to remind y'all of that. So taking a political position is not foreign to him, just so we're clear. The other guy that spoke about this is Royce White. I want to remind you before you go any further and you say, hey, you know what? Mockery, jokes, and all of this other stuff that you want to say about him. I will remind you that he was the Republican nominee for the United States Senate in the state of Minnesota in 2024, losing ultimately to incumbent Democrat Amy Klobuchar. He is a candidate now for Minnesota's Republican United States Senate seat, the primary that just took place yesterday. This is Royce White speaking about the WNBA. Listen to him.
Earlier this week, I made the announcement. I'm transgender. I'm a woman. I identify as sometimes identifying as a woman for purposes of basketball, professional basketball. So I'll be declaring for the WNBA draft in 2027 as well. Well, I mean, I think I'd be unstoppable. But I'm a team first guy. I'm a pass first kind of player. I do the little things. I led my team in all 5 major stat categories at Iowa State University. So I do a little bit of.
It might have been Ben Daniel yesterday that said Caitlin Clark would average 36 assists if either one of these guys played on the Indiana Fever.
I'll do whatever the coach needs me to do. I'll do whatever the girls need me to do.
Ladies and gentlemen, sounds like mockery. It sounds like all of these things, but keep in mind, their announcement were framed as challenges to the WNBA's transgender player eligibility rules. The key factual distinction that we have to point out, the current WNBA collective bargaining agreement says only players who are women are eligible, but it does not further define women or specify criteria involving gender identity, sex assigned at birth, hormone levels, or physical characteristics. It also does not say that self-identification alone automatically makes a player eligible. So because that's open for debate, it required a response from WNBA Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, who sent a memo to teams last Friday saying the issue would be discussed by a task force of team presidents and general managers. The WNBA separately defended inclusion and condemned hate while saying the union, quote, will not be used as political pawns. Here's Stephen A. talking. It's too damn late. It's too damn late. If your rules were more finite and clear, you wouldn't have to have a meeting of team presidents and general managers. You're the commissioner. You should already know. We literally are living in a society where there has to be a debate involving a collective bargaining agreement that explicitly states that the league is for women. Only players who are women are eligible to play in the WNBA. So one could easily surmise, okay, you're a woman, that makes you eligible. If you're not a woman, you're not eligible. It's simple and plain. What's the complication? The complication is that our society has devolved to a point where we're not clear what defines a woman, at least in the eyes of some. So while Royce White or Enos Cantor Freedom may be accused of trolling and engaging in mockery and being a bit ridiculous, fine. What about the WNBA? What about the WNBA? We will not be used as political pawns. When you gonna wake the hell up? Did y'all see what happened when this young lady got ejected from a WNBA game the other day for a flagrant foul on Sophie Cunningham? Did y'all see that? She got ejected from the game for that flagrant foul right there. And I'll be damned if that wasn't a flagrant two. She mugged her. Damn near came across like decapitating her, for crying out loud.
Called it, Stephen A. Smith called it a mugging. A mugging.
That was definitely a hard foul. Make no mistake about it. Nobody can argue about it. You can say what you want. We know what we saw. No way around it. Dijonai Carrington's foul was clearly unnecessary. It was a flagrant foul penalty too. It was absolutely positively correct call. It was called the flagrant two. That's a flagrant two every single damn time in the NBA and the WNBA. But you know things have devolved when you've got the Attorney General for the state of Florida saying that's why WNBA games ain't here, because guess what? We are the prosecuted them. Attorney General James Uthmeyer. The WNBA knows better than to play games down here in Florida, because I'll be charging people with assault. I should probably clarify. Assault and battery. That is from the Attorney General of the state of Florida.
That dude said it. Let me clarify. Assault and battery. Dijonai Carrington, put these silver bracelets on. Child.
Let me be very, very clear in saying this. I am not a fan of his. I am not a fan of his. This is the same man that sent the subpoena to the NBA, to the National Football League, over the Rooney Rule.
Good. That rule is a joke.
March 13, 2026, that Attorney General, James Uthmeyer, issued an investigative subpoena to the National Football League seeking documents concerning the Rooney Rule and other league diversity and hiring programs going back to 2017. Commissioner Roger Goodell subsequently said the NFL was cooperating with the Florida AG while maintaining that its programs comply with the law. As it pertains to this, against the WNBA. What does Usmeyer says? He's alluding to, he'd be charging people with assault and battery. So I looked that up. Here's what he could do. He can push for an investigation, is according to my research, because I got the best in the business. He can push for an investigation and prosecution if he believes conduct during a WNBA game violates Florida criminal law. But he cannot simply transform a hard or flagrant foul into assault and battery because he says so. A prosecutor would still have to establish the elements of the offense, overcome the fact that basketball inherently involves consensual physical contact, and ultimately prove the criminal case beyond a reasonable doubt. And for an ordinary incident occurring in one Florida jurisdiction, the local state attorney, not the AG personally, would ordinarily be the prosecutor. One other distinction worth making note: assault and battery are separate offenses under Florida law. The actual physical striking is potentially battery. Assault generally concerns an intentional threat, creating fear of imminent violence. So describing the foul itself as assault and battery isn't necessarily the cleanest legal characterization, but he's making it anyway. He's making it anyway. See, what the WNBA wants to sit up there and posture about, we won't allow things to be politicized, as if you can control it. There's only one way to control it. Have more control over your product. Have a clear delineation as to what defines a woman, what defines a female.
More control. How about any control? The league is out of control.
Otherwise, you're going to have cats 6'8" with goatees walking in your league or claiming they're going to walk in your league. You can deny them entry. You can refuse to draft them, but you're going to open yourself up to potential legal action until you clarify what the hell is going on, which is the purpose of Enos Cancer Freedom and Royce White, especially Royce White, who's running for a Republican seat in the United States Senate.
By the way, Cathy Engelbert has now protected her post on Twitter. She's now protected her post on Twitter. So she will not take responsibility and listen to criticism online while her league is burning to the ground. And that's one of the points that Stephen A. Smith is making here. The league has no leadership right now. It feels like there's nobody in the office. I mean, the entire building's on fire and nobody's around. Yeah, let it burn, I guess.
He wants to compel you to make a decision. He wants to compel you to define what a woman is. He wants to compel you or expose your unwillingness to do so. Because from a political perspective, it just heightens and illuminates the dichotomy that exists between both sides of the aisle. And everybody in sports wants to sit up there. We want to play games. We want to play games. We don't want stuff politicized. Well, damn it, be clear. You're supposed to ward this off at the pass. You're supposed to make sure that it is clear where your rules stand. Women, how come you didn't write in your language those born female? How come you didn't make that clear? Because if you were born a female, even if you're transitioning to being a female, because you weren't born a female, that would make you ineligible to enter the WNBA. Why didn't you do that? This whole issue has been fomenting and gaining steam and traction for years. It was used in the presidential election. It was used in the midterms before the presidential election. It's going to be used in the midterms this November. And if the right has their way, it's going to be brought up again in 2028. Where you at? Where you at? Cathy Engelbert, you're the commissioner of the WNBA. Where you at? You don't know this is coming? You, Cheryl Reeves, you're the coach of the Minnesota Lynx. Watching your girl drop 10 3-pointers last night, putting on a show. That's about celebrating her. Ain't nobody gonna celebrate you. You got to be careful with the things that you say and the things that you promote with your T-shirts, your jackets, or anything else. You got to be wise about this. I want to be clear, as I have been clear before. There's no hate here.
All right, let's stop it right there because I'm already at 20 minutes. But the WNBA's only got themselves to blame for their entire mess. And it's even worse because you got coaches employed by teams advocating to literally let men play in the game. Or, like Stephanie White, like a coward, I don't know the science. You don't know the science. Bitch. I said it. Damn it. There it is. Yeah. Born a dude. You can't play. What kind of science is needed for that? Stop it. Cheryl Reeve. Trans kids belong. Oh, come on. What are we doing? The WNBA has lost all control. They've lost all control. And yeah, Enos and Royce are trying to make a point, and I don't blame them. If I played in the WNBA, hell, if I played in the NBA, hell, if I played college ball, my ass would be declaring for the W. I'm just letting you know. And I'd do it to prove a point. Your rules aren't clear. You got players running their mouth advocating for dudes to be able to play in a women's league. This should have been Stephen A. Smith's right. You knew this issue was coming. It's been talked about for 4 years, 5 years, 6 years. You knew this was coming. The running joke was, wait till LeBron grabs a wig. That's been a joke. I've said it on multiple channels. Wait till LeBron grabs a wig and drops 97 on you in a game. Well, now you got two cats from the NBA and the commissioner's MIA. No called press conferences. No, put a call in to FIBA. What exactly is your rules? Oh, this is them or the IOC. Let's just adopt these and put them in. You could have had the rules in. Even after this controversy, it would take you, half a day to get it legally worded and then release a statement. And yeah, I don't know what you do about your own radical coaches and players. How about you actually talk hard to them for once? Get them all on Zoom and say, get in line or get the fuck out of the league. I don't know what else to say. Do you want to coach and or play here? Oh, you do? Because y'all all, at least the players, all got raises. Or do y'all want to have to go to come fuckistan out there and play for that league? Tell me what you think in the comment section. Peace. I'm out. Till next time.
Thanks for watching the show. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Be sure to tune in next time on Black and White Sports.